Hi, it's Cindy with the Port Huron Recreation Department. Today we're going to have some snow fun and we're going to make a little heart with we're going to be using canvases today. So let's get started. We're going to start first with the snowman. Here we go. Gotta get you in the focus really quick and then we'll be ready to roll. Alright, I think we're looking good. Okay, so today we're going to make this cute little snowman on the canvas, and then we're going to make a little heart on a canvas. And you know, Valentine's Day is coming up, so I thought we'd get started with something that you could possibly give as a gift. Definitely the snowman would be a cute one, and then also the heart. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to get our canvas ready with the background. And what we're going to do with that is I'm going to start with a bigger brush just because we're painting a bigger surface. And we'll start with some of the brown here that we've got. And this is just an acrylic, regular acrylic paint. This one says it's cinnamon brown. I kind of tend to like these a little better than the ones that we've been getting at the dollar store, just because these have a little more plasticity to them. The finish is a little more of a kind of a vinyl look versus a matte look. It depends on what you like, but I'm finding that the consistency of this, it's a little smoother to paint on. When you blend the colors together, it actually goes on a little thicker. It hides the colors that are behind it a little better. So that's why I tend to do these. These are a couple bucks at I think I got this at Meijer. These are okay too. I think I got these at Hobby. No, I think I got this at Walmart. Not too bad. The only thing is the lids start kind of not wanting to open after a while, and I do use kind of a lot of paint, and for that to happen to me, yeah, it was kind of early for that to happen. I mean, if you really start getting into it, I would say go ahead and spend a couple extra bucks. So I'm going to paint on here pretty generously with the brown. And this is where you're going to go off the edge a little bit and kind of just pounce on there and swipe it off. That way you're giving a finished edge to your canvas here. And your background will actually look like it's wrapping all the way around. The goal is to see how I swipe and it's kind of dry so it doesn't get into all the little nooks and crannies. You kind of push down a little bit and go back and forth, rub it in. And then as you're going, you can kind of straighten that out to where it looks like you're going all in one direction, basically. And I usually go back and forth like horizontal and vertical, so that I don't have a specific pattern, but it's a little more consistent than having a random pattern. So I'll show you. See how that's kind of got a direction? I actually did that, went across, and then I went up and down a little bit. And I'm just going to add a little bit of white in there when we're done getting the brown. And I'll blend it in there when it's wet. I got a little bit too much paint on the brush that time, so the edge got a little bit messy, but that's okay. I'm going to try to hold this as much as I can. Eventually you're going to paint yourself into a corner, your finger, but that's alright. The idea is also to always, in between each coat of paint that you're doing, let it dry so that the next coat will stick better. Tap that on there. Go across. You can see the lines from your brush. Try to kind of eliminate that if you can. If not, no biggie. It's going to kind of look like kind kind of like leather when we're done, I think, or burlap. You can use any brown you want. The basic idea is to get it the tint that I have, kind of so that you can see the snowman against it. You know, and you don't need to use brown either. I'm gonna go ahead and set this down now. Pick up a little brown, finish that off, and then pick up some of the white here and just kind of brush that in, going across randomly. Put a little down here and then go across like this. That's what gives it the varied colors in there. And the more you do it, the more it blends in, and the darker it'll get. The white will just blend in there. So if you're stuck holding it, turn it around. And then use your fingernail to push on it. I'm going to pick up a little bit more white. The white itself is, I'll show you that in just a second. So I don't have any of the canvas showing. And if I do, I can, once it's dry, I'll go back and just touch it up a little bit. But you don't really have to be too specific on this. The white I used, okay, this is wet, so I'm going to go ahead and take my paper towel. Always have your paper towels. Get off as much as possible. Put it in your water. Try not to splash your artwork. And then, I know I didn't get it all off, but you get the idea. Usually I'll have a bigger container, like a vanilla or a yogurt container or something, and then that way I can really swish it around. This is going to stay a little dry for a little while, so I can go to the sink and use some soap and wash it off. Kind of looks like chocolate milk now. Alright, so that one's wet. I'll set that guy off to dry. Get some more paper towel. You can use newspaper. You can use an old cereal box opened up, and that will do the job. This is the paint that I'm using. I got this at Meijer. I got a lot of it because I've been using a lot lately. This was about 10 bucks. Hobby Lobby has their discount too, the 40% discount. So if you go there, I would suggest, if you're getting something a higher price like that, use your 40% off and you'll get get it for about $6. Alright, now I'm going to make the little snowman, and I'm just doing his outline. This has 2 coats, so we're going to draw a circle. I think I kind of like this white up here. This is where you can start kind of setting up how you want them to look. So I'm going to actually do this guy backwards, because what I'm thinking I might do is end up doing a triptych, which is three of these. And then what you do is you make them side by side. I may or may not be using one of these. I may make a different one so that I've got them facing different ways. So maybe one's facing that way, one's facing that way. One could be facing straight up. So I'm just kind of getting an outline, and then this is where you can go in pretty thick with it and just kind of go to town. Paint your edges right here on this step, because you won't get a chance once you put his little face on there. So again, you can just, if you get the paint on the brush thick enough here, you can actually get it right into the little crevices here of the canvas. So I'm going back through. But he can be a little fuzzy on the outside too, because snowmen are a little fuzzy. Because they're made of snow. You might have a little fresh coat of snow on them. Alright, we'll do the side. Just carry it over. And if it gets on the back, that's okay. Just remember where you're setting it so that it doesn't mess up a table or something. Put it on your protective surface, whatever that is. And then do another second coat when this dries. This is going to be pretty thick, so it's going to take a little while to dry. So then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to start his nose. And it's just a triangle sticking out, really. And then when you get to the end, you start lifting your brush. There's a little triangle right there. Lift up the brush and you get a little point. Fill it in. And then you can go backwards here, like that. The idea of the reason that I'm doing this is because sometimes the paint will bleed. And right here you can kind of actually make it a little bumpy too. You know how a carrot looks a little bumpy? So, kind of like that. And bring it in to his face a little. So, that's the start of him. Kind of a silhouette. So, there. Then we'll do a little bit of snow around him. And it's just little dots. I'm using an angled brush, and this is about 3/8 to a 1/2 inch size, and it just tapers down to a point. And then yeah, I just dip the tip of it into the paint, and then kind of just set it down. And you can have bigger, smaller snowflakes. Just be careful, it's probably still wet if you're doing this at this time. Okay. That's good. So that one's ready for the next step. I'm going to let this dry now. So here's what he should look like with 2 coats and his snow. Wipe off your brush into the paint and then get as much off as you can. And again, clean it off. I'm pouncing this in here to get the residue off of the inside. Wait, I just wiped it in the white. Alright, time for a new one. Okay, looks pretty clean. So then we're ready to do the orange. And how I made this orange is I started out with a lot of yellow, and this is kind of a sunshiny yellow, yellow medium, I guess, but it's very warm and it lends itself to a warmer color versus this other one that I poured in here. It's called a dandelion kind of a yellow, and you can see there's a lot more white in there. I didn't really want that. I wanted it more of, I wanted the result to be more of a sunshiny orange, I don't know, or a pumpkin orange. Then I added the cadmium red, and this is a medium too. So you can see how bright that is. 2 nice bright colors, and you know, they mix together to be orange. I used more yellow than I did red, so start with yellow and just keep adding some red to it. I would say for this project, only about a teaspoon to begin with, or a 1/2 teaspoon, and then just come in with about a 1/4 teaspoon of this at a time. But you know, as you get playing with this, you'll get better at doing this. But you'll still end up with an orange. So I just ended up mixing those two in my palette. I kind of did a swish around like that. Wipe off the end of my paintbrush. Like that. And sometimes I kind of leave it where it's a little swirly still, just because I like to see the paints blend on the canvas. Sometimes what'll happen sometimes is it'll just blend in anyways. Oh, fuzz. So I'm just gonna go in, start painting this little guy right on top of the white, because, and you're gonna go kind of thick, because you can see that it kind of looks yellow if I do it too light. So I'm gonna go in, and his little nose actually goes like that, like a carrot. That's kind of just a U there at the end of the triangle. And you're gonna have little lumpies going through here. Again, I suggest using 2 coats, but let's see how this does. I want to add in the white for a little bit of a reflection on his nose. If you get too much on your brush, just wipe it off in your palette. Try not to get the paint up into the actual metal part, because it'll stay in there. It's hard to get out, and that's what eventually ruins your brush. You're probably just using cheap brushes like I am for now anyway, so you know, take care of them. It's good to get into the habit, because when you start really getting into painting and stuff and you have nice brushes, you don't want to ruin them. Going right up to the edge of the white there, so that it goes away. Alright, and then I'm gonna go up here, and I'm gonna turn it around just because it's easier to do a little point from there. And also, since I'm right-handed, it's easier for me to get this side with the brush. Don't worry about the yellow that I see there. I'm sure you see it. Try to get in there, pull up at the end, and then kind of pull this through. See how we're getting it a little more orange as we go. Okay, then let's see if I can get this in here a little more. Kind of tap off some of the stuff that's on my brush to fill that in. And it's pretty good. Now I'm just going across a little bit just to get the color to go. This little guy, get that in the white there. So I kind of just dragging the very tip of the brush into the very tip of his nose so he gets colored in. And I think that's pretty good. I'm alright with that. So while it's still wet, I'm going to add a little bit of white to this. Just a little bit. And I keep thinking this white is wet, but basically I'm just wiping a little bit in there just to give it a little bit of a lighter color. And then if you want later, when everything's dry, you can go over it again with some more white. But I kind of like the way it shines there. We're following the shape of his nose. You could actually go in with a dry brush too, so it's just the wet paint on there, and kind of wipe it over it too. But I like that. It's kind of cute. All right, what's next? Let's see. Okay, he's got eyes and a mouth and some hands. So we're going to still work on this canvas because all that's wet is the nose itself. And actually, I see his nose went down a little bit further. So I think I'm going to make maybe his mouth a little different here. So he seems to be looking up a little more. I'll make his eyes up a little higher. And I might make his mouth go like that, like in a circle. All right. If you're not comfortable with putting eyes on with the brush itself, you can use a Sharpie. And we seem to do that a lot around here. Sharpies are good friends of ours. So I think I'm going to do his arms first. I got eyes. And his arms generally, they're coming out of his head. I mean, basically they're on the edges of his head. So we'll do the same thing. And they're wiggly. And I imagine his arms are a little longer, so I'm gonna make them go like that. Like that. And this arm kind of ends out probably around here. So there's his little hand sticking up. And he must be seeing something, I think. So he's gonna get a big round circle for what he's looking at. Okay, so then I'm going to kind of finish this off a little bit. And then I'll bring in some of the red so that it's kind of a burgundy looking color. And I'm just getting a little bit to start. And this is just going to blend in with the black here, since it's still wet. Get a little more now. And follow along the black line there. See, it's blending right on the canvas. I kind of tended like doing this. You just got to watch out for the white that wants to start showing up back there. This is not too bad. And then it's always good to turn it if you need a better angle. I'm going to hold my wrist up a little bit so I don't get into the black on his arms. Grab a little more red here. And I think that'll do it. So there's a little snowman. If you wanted to do his face in a smile, I can show you how to do that. It's basically like a backwards D, or there's a D, and then it's kind of funky. Wipe this off so my brush doesn't stay dirty. Clean that up a little bit. All right. And if you're saving your palette to do some more, I'll show you how to do the smile in just a second, but I have a trick. Got a baggie and a wet paper towel here inside, and I set that right down in there, and I just slide my palette in there, and that way it keeps moisture in there. Try to get out as much of the air as possible, because air will help dry it. And then just seal it up and set it out of the way so that it doesn't fall over. And then you can use it. I'll save this and I'll put it on this guy once it's finally dry. It's getting there. So that's how you can save your palette. Let's see if I've got a scrap piece of paper. You know what? I'll just draw on here. So that smile right there is basically two little lines and that big dip. You may have to do that with your brush, turn it different angles, because remember, to make it pointy over here, we kind of lift it up a little bit. So you might want to lift up, use the very tip so you can get it pretty thin. I had a heavy hand to begin with, or you could use the Sharpie, of course. And then you can do that. For his smile, you can do that. Sometimes snowmen do that. Silly grin, just like that, or you can add a little tongue, like that. And if you do that little line up for the tongue, do that after you get it all painted in. You could even add a tooth when it's all dried. Silly stuff. Think about what you would do with a pumpkin. That's kind of mouse that I'm thinking of. Alright, so the next project that we've got is, let me grab it. Gotta move all this wet stuff aside so I don't hit it. Okay. It's going to be a little heart that is, I'll show you what I did earlier. It's going to look kind of like this. When you're all done, you've got an outline. I'm learning some more stuff about this. It's good to use contact paper if you can. That'll set down pretty tight. I did not have contact paper, and I tried using double stick tape, and instead of it sticking very well, it didn't. I even had these little guys taped. I had this paper taped all over it. I had the tape down like that, and it still oozed out. So we can still save this one. And what you do is, let me show you. Oh, come on. So what I'm going to do for this one to save it is just get in there with some black and paint over all these colors. The reason I'm not saying white is because I'm not sure what kind of paint I used here, if it's going to bleed or not. So, I mean, I could try first and see if it does bleed through. And, you know, of course I could do layer and layer and layer of the white. So that's how I would have fixed this kind of mishap. But still, if I had left it and didn't smudge it a little bit and pretend that it went through all around the edges a little bit more, that might look kind of cute too. So that's up to you. If you wanted to keep it the way it was, if it had sprawled out, that's fine too. But I think I'm going to paint in with some black around it. And then I might, after that, go out a little further and maybe shade from a black to a white. So it'd be black, gray, then white. And then that would give more focus on this heart with all the colors. So I've got another way that I thought of that might help a little bit better. So what I did is I took some painter's tape, and I got the wider stuff just because I wanted to put some paper under there too. So it starts out with a line. I had a little heart that I cut out, and it was actually from this other one. I used cardstock for this so that it would be a little more durable. So since it's cardstock, I can trace it pretty easily. I put it down and just traced it out onto the canvas. One thing I wanted to say about canvases, I don't remember where I got all of these, but I go to Hobby Lobby. They have a few packs. Also, the dollar store, I think, is where I got these. These are 5x7, and these are 8x12. They're 8x10, excuse me. And how they come is in packs of, I don't know, 3 to 5. And usually one of them's not wrapped. And reason being is they've got, the rest of them are actually wrapped. If you open the package, they're not wrapped, they could get dirty. So this actually, you can see the shine on here, it protects them until the next time you want to use it. And then just when you're cutting them apart, cut them from the back. You can just use like a pair of scissors and score it. And then that way, if your scissors, you had scissors on the front, you're not scraping up your canvas. So I got that set up. Then I thought about, okay, wait a minute. I had that little pattern, so I'm going to try this. I'm going to cut out this shape, but I'm going to cut it out a little bit further back since I already have the line traced here. And I'm going to use this paper instead of putting, I had little scraps of paper that I put right behind there to block out the back of the canvas that I don't want to get painted on. So I'm going to just cut in about, I'm going to say about that much. That's a little less than 1/4 of an inch, a little more than 1/8 of an inch. And it doesn't have to be perfect because you've already got the lines down on the canvas if you did it the way I did. You can always do it the way I did on the left side too. That's up to you. So I cut this out, and I know that there's an extra amount of space. So see if I put that down there. And I'll hold it up so you can see exactly. There's my traced line. And this is the paper that I'm actually going to use behind it. This, I'm thinking, might work better because when I go to do what I did was I put paint on here and then I scrape it with either a ruler or a credit card type thing. The paint will, the idea is that it will stay on the surface rather than going under the paper. So now that I got this made up, I'm going to do the same thing I did here, but this time the paper, put that back there behind that. This time, this paper is only one. So I don't have to worry so much about anything else getting on this canvas. Let's make sure that, because I'm still going to trace this, this shape on the inside. All right. So what I do, I pull off a little bit of this tape. I'm going to pull off some like that. And I'm going to just trace along the line. And try to put it right on the line there. Like that. Push the paper down. Over here, you're going to push the paper down just here and then slide this in and make sure that there's no holes that are going to get through. If there's a hole, just tape it up with some more tape. So you kind of want to get a point right here. This might work. There. And then make sure that that's going in there. So that little point goes right out. And just follow along. And you're going to have to keep doing it because as you go, you're going to have this little crack spot right there. That little crevice where you can see it start coming away from the line. And you're going to want to cover that up with the tape. So eventually it'll just be one silhouette on a line where you traced. So I'll try to do this quick. And you don't want super big pieces because they're gonna, like right here, this curve actually takes smaller pieces because it's got a tighter curve. I think I bent that a little bit. And push it down there. And you can start with a bigger piece and then just tear it as you go, so you're not fighting with it all the time. Make sure there's no fuzzies. I think that was a fuzzy. So we're starting to straighten out a little more the curve here. So I can start going a little bit more, like in little longer pieces. Just a little bit though. And the whole idea here that we're doing is just to block out the rest of the canvas so it doesn't get the paint on it. And we're basically going to kind of dredge the paint across the canvas. Your heart doesn't have to be perfect either. So if you want to just draw it right on your canvas, you could do that too. And then just follow this technique or the one on the left. And if you have a better idea, then try that by all means. So that was a pretty wide piece there. And a couple more. There's a little bit of canvas showing here. I'm going to try to just hit that when I get this last piece in. There. That's it. I'm using my nail to push it down really tight to the canvas so that it does not come up. You could probably use your little gift card or credit card, whatever you've got. Good thing about this is it's small. Some of you might have scrapers even, but that's the idea. Earlier I used a little, this ruler that's made out of plastic, and it was a lot easier to squish the paint down. But I'm going to try it with this little gift card and see if that does any better for me or any worse. So our heart's all ready to go. It's all flattened down. Now we just need some paint colors. Before I had some greens, some blues, some reds. I think I've tried to mostly get reds and pinks in there just because of the Valentine's Day theme. Okay, so I'm just getting the stuff together. We'll use some of this red here. I kind of like this green. It's kind of a mint green. I like this blue, ultramarine. This one says it's aqua. This was from the dollar store. I think these are from Spring Grove, I think. This I've had for a while. Sweetheart Blush. That's a Valentine's Day thing. What other color? This is a metallic one that I've had. That's kind of a good color. And I think we need a yellow. And this is where this dandelion yellow will come in handy. All right. And I think I had a purple too. I'll try this purple. This is kind of a another metallic one. Okay, and I think these came from Meijer. Meijer, Spring Grove, dollar store, and old stuff. If you got a friend or somebody that's got this stuff already, you'd be all set. All right, so I'm just gonna put globs up at the top here. Globs. Ugh. There. Kind of put a couple spots or 2 or 3 of the color that you want, and you're going to want to put a little bit, kind of a lot. It's because you're going to be moving all this paint all the way down, and you can see I've got my whole canvas covered. I wanted to mention that before I forget that. All right, so we'll put a little bit of this red in here. This is kind of messy. It's kind of old too. I'm getting all the reds in here first. Come on. Wow. I haven't used this that much. I don't know why that's taken so long. Okay. Come on. Wow. Okay. I guess I'll just have to forego that one. I don't know what it's doing. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is pretty old too. Let's see if I can pick it out of there. Look at that. It's getting hard on me. Okay. We saved it. All right, we'll squeeze this out now. We'll try it. Okay. This is... There we go. All right, got some. All right. Good. Call it good. Let's do that purple. This is ready to come right out. And some yellow. Okay, do a little more right there. It doesn't, it's not too much of a science. Kind of went nuts on that one, but it's okay. Let's see, when we got the blue here, we'll put some of this blue in. It's coming up kind of gloppy. Yeah, these are kind of old too. But hey, this is a good project for the older paints because all you're doing is sliding the paint down the canvas. I think that's it. Wait, I think I'm thinking you guys are wanting to see more, maybe a little more of the, pink? Oh, okay, pink. I heard ya. I'll try it. We'll go here with it. Okay. Are we ready? All right. Going in with the little gift card here. I'm going to do one side and I'm just going to drag it on an angle straight down and pick it up. It's kind of messy. I'm going to go again. And this time I'm going to kind of wiggle it a little bit. And I'm going to give it more of an angle. So I'm kind of going a little more flat on that. So I'm good with that side. I'm going to leave this on here like this. And then just go again on this side. Go straight down like that. All right, hold on to this because it's going to want to drip. But I just saw a little piece of dried up paint. All right, here we go again. Keep it on your card there. Now we're going to wiggle a little bit. Pick it up. All right, this time, that turned out pretty cute. I want to get rid of this clump that's right here. So I'm going to wipe all this off. And this might be messy, but I think it'll be okay. Put it right on my paper towel here. All right, so I'm just going to go over kind of lightly. There might be a little bit more of a ridge there, but that's okay because, and then maybe over here too. Actually here, let's do this. You can play with it. And then we'll go over here. Because I think just pay attention to what's going on out here because you don't want to get it on other things. So this is what it's looking like. This part, there. A little thicker up there. I think it looks good though. All right, more paper towel. Wipe this guy off. I can probably use this for another project, so I'm gonna wipe it off and clean it up. So when you get a gift card for your birthday or something, you might want to hang on to it. All right, let's see what this final piece looks like. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it right off. Make sure that it did what we wanted. Pulling straight up. This side's coming off not as good because remember it's pieced together, so pull that up. There we go. Just watch out for drips. Set this aside somewhere to where it's not gonna get on something and get in trouble. I'm gonna try to do that too so I don't get in trouble, but that's what it looks like right there. That's pretty cute. Nice little Valentine's Day heart on a canvas. This would look really cute in a black frame, or whatever color frame if you make your own frame or something. And then here's our little snowman. So, hope you've enjoyed it today.